Welcome back to the show. My name's Mark Nixon. I want to wish all the mothers out there a happy Mother's Day. I wasn't able to make a video yesterday, and I don't want to forget about all of you. We absolutely love you. Without you, we wouldn't be here today. So happy Mother's Day. On today's video, we're going to touch on a video that went parabolic. I mean, probably at least 30 million. I'm sure it's probably at 50 million, maybe even 100 million. Why would a video get so many views in such a short amount of time? Oh yeah, one side thought it was completely fake and the other side said, oh no, it's real. Personally, I really don't give a damn if it's real or fake. I just find the entire thing hilarious, and it's just amazing. It's just hilarious to watch it all go down. And there's some arguments on both sides, and that is why the thing went parabolic, because the more arguing that went on, it just pushed this thing parabolic. And the memes that came afterwards are absolutely wild. I love the memes. This is pure entertainment, and we'll get into it. I got some stuff on Trump, and I have other news items. Let's go. This story starts off with this guy. He's always sniffing all over the place.
Donor of military equipment to Ukraine, and we said that we would match or exceed that amount, almost 2.5 conversations, which is why we've provided it on, but also those long range.
Not bring to anything good.
Thank you. Phase of the battle, and that's a very productive conversation that we're having today.
So every time you see this guy, I don't know what's with his nose. Does he have allergies? His eyes are red. He's touching his nose all the time. So that leads the entire public and the whole world wondering if there's something else going on with him. We just don't know. But that suspicion leads to more suspicions, even more suspicions. And for some reason, Macron, the president of France, has the exact same condition as Zelensky. I mean, it wouldn't have been hard to put this collage. Like every time I see a video of him, he's touching his massive nose. So I don't know what's going on with this guy either. So Alex Jones published this video on his account, but it was shared. Everywhere in the world shared it. It wasn't just from his account. His account got 28.7 million views. And then other people published the video as well. The video is probably at hundreds of millions of views by now. We're going to get into what this video is. I'm sure that many of you have probably actually seen this video. For context, we got Macron, we got Starmer, which is the PM of the UK, and we have Merz. And Merz is a German chancellor. And they're seen in this video leaving Zelensky on a train, a night train. And that's the funny thing. It's a night train. They're seen, and then reporters rush into the room to say hi to them. And they were like caught off guard, look like a deer in headlights. They're looking at stuff on the table like, oh, maybe we should put this away. Oh, and they look so guilty, as if when you look at the scene, it's as if, you know, when you see teenagers and they're up to no good and they're trying to scramble and they're like, busted, you're so busted. But the thing is it fake? Is it real? We have no idea. We're just gonna have to look at the video. But what's hilarious is just how guilty they look. And what are we referring to? We're referring to Colombia. Yeah, a bag of Colombia and a little spoon in order to use the Colombia.
It's a long walk. I'll be back in Poland.
And through my bathroom, huh?
Yeah? It's literally. We came through Germany, and then we made it to France.
German bedroom, and
we got through the border.
Right.
Make a photo, and after that you will be allowed to have a drink.
Yeah.
Super.
Yeah.
On va bien.
I don't know about you, but they just look so guilty there. It's like, where should I put my arms? Oh, tissue. I mean, you know, tissues usually go in the garbage can. They don't go into your pocket. And I don't know what that guy grabbed. All I have to say is everybody saw this and you can't tell what it is. And yeah, it exploded. Here's the video that made this whole thing parabolic. Somebody made this video.
Yeah?
It's literally. We came through Germany, and then we made it to France.
Bedroom and
We got through the border.
Right.
Make a photo and after that you will. It will be a lot of a drink. Super. After that you will. So it will be a lot of drink.
Prendre ses responsabilités dans un système démocratique, était allé devant son congrès en proposant d'augmenter les durées. Il y a les blocages, et les blocages, il faut pouvoir les lever quand ils empêchent l'activité normale. Et c'est pourquoi d'ailleurs j'ai demandé, c'est pourquoi j'ai demandé au gouvernement d'essayer au maximum de négocier et ensuite de réquisitionner. Ce que nous avons pu faire sur les ordures, essayer d'entendre la colère légitime, qui n'est pas la violence, encore une fois, mais qui s'est exprimée au moment de ces contestations. Alors ces contestations, d'abord, je vais...
Super. On va bien.
The thing is, it just looks like these guys are lit up, like straight up. That's the problem. They look guilty and they look lit up. Like, look at this picture and look at this. Like, yeah. So the internet was looking at this thing. They're like, it's a spoon, a special spoon. And this is what they were coming up with. That thing. I don't even know what that is, but supposedly it's for the Columbia spoon. Yeah, I don't know. Even Brian Lilly posted something on this. So what he says is the original video came from Agence France Presse, a Paris-based wild service. So what he says, Brian Lilly, is Macron, he says, we don't know if it's a bag of something. There's no way in knowing for real or confirming, but the way that Macron is acting like a child caught doing something wrong by mommy and daddy, and I have to agree. And he had a follow-up couple tweets here. He says, there's plenty of people commenting on what this is. The official response is that it's a Russian disinformation and Macron pockets a tissue. It doesn't look like a tissue. I have no ill will towards these leaders, but it does look suspicious and the media's response is bizarre. And I have to agree. And then he also says, I don't want to comment any further because I thought maybe the video was AI, but it's definitely not AI. It's just weird as hell. More questions need to be answered. And that's right. Here's a picture of someone trying to disprove and saying that this thing's all fake, showing it's kind of like a toothpick or something and a piece of tissue. But let's look at this a little bit further. They believe it's this thing that the guy grabbed. And then this picture was circling. This does not look real. I think this was edited to make it look shiny. I think it was a piece of paper. And I also think it was a toothpick, but we really don't know. So someone enhanced this with AI and it produced this image. The problem is that AI would have, altered the picture. But, based on this picture, yeah, it clearly looks like the stick and a piece of tissue. Anyway, it doesn't even matter if it's real or fake. It's just the explosion that makes it so hilarious. So now let's take a look at some of the memes because those memes are absolutely epic. AI is getting absolutely insane. Somebody made this. What the hell is going on here? Yeah, it just gets so wild, these AI things. Oh no. Oh God. And then there's this one going all over the internet as well. Here's the thing. When you start getting mainstream media posting, France accused enemies of spreading fake news about the bag claims. That's where I was like, you know what? If they didn't, if there was nothing from the mainstream media in only under 5 days, maybe even a week, this whole thing would have been forgotten. But since they put this on the front page of the paper, you start thinking, why are they trying to cover for this guy? That's where things get questionable. You know what? There is one way that we could resolve this whole thing. All that Macron and the other three have to do is just provide a sample. They just need to provide the sample and clear it up. And I doubt that they would do such a thing. They're not going to be providing a sample. They're just going to get mainstream media out there saying, hey, you need to start putting out articles to protect us. We've seen this all before. But who knows? That's why when something like this happens, there's no way in actually verifying. I have no idea. It's probably fake. But, you know, there's some people that think it's real. Personally, I don't think it's real. But it's just questionable. Everything's questionable. Wouldn't it be nice if we actually had the reality and knew the real story? They looked very suspicious. That's all I have to say. Let's move on to the next story. Donald Trump, oh boy. He just said he has an earth-shattering announcement about Canada, and it has nothing to do with a trade deal. Let's see what he says.
You know, I said before in our meeting with the new and very talented Prime Minister of Canada that we have some very big announcement to make. It's not about trade. It's about something else, but it's going to be a truly earth-shattering and positive development for this country and for the people of this country. And that'll take place sometime within the next few days.
He never said it would be positive news for Canada. That's what concerns me. I want to hear from you guys. What do you think this earth-shattering news is about Canada and a new prime minister that's going to benefit America? So I really wanted to find out from my audience what exactly they thought was Donald Trump talking about. And it's not a trade deal. So if it's not a trade deal, what exactly? So let's take a look at some of these comments. Brattany says that it's got to be something about the border. I don't know. Maybe it's something military, but earth shattering. Like, that's the thing. Is it a pipeline? But that's also economical. So I don't know about that. And guess what? We're still waiting. And of course, there's memes that says, yes, elbows up. And there's a few comments that think it has something to do with the Arctic and an Arctic shield. He made the announcement about the pharmaceuticals, so I don't think it's that one. And obviously, there's a lot of people that think it's the 51st state. And other people think, wouldn't it be nice if the U.S. started offering Canadians free green cards for anybody that wants to go and flee this liberal government? I don't know. We're going to find out. And when we do, I'm going to make sure to update everybody on what the massive earth-shattering announcement is. And it's official. Alberta is saying enough is enough. They're putting a pause on the carbon tax, on industrial carbon tax at that $95 per ton. They're not allowing it get all the way up to $170. And that's going to put things into an interesting position for Mark Carney, because he's all about this industrial-based carbon pricing. Things are about to erupt.
Wants our energy and resources. Energy demand is soaring, and countries around the world are seeking the petrochemicals, minerals, timber, and other products that we produce every single day. But for the past 10 years, our province has faced a tidal wave of anti-energy, anti-agriculture, and anti-resource policies from the federal government. They've added costs, increased delays, and effectively hung a closed for business sign on Canada's door, whether for LNG, oil and natural gas, or the many other resources that we are blessed with. For years, this environmental agenda from Ottawa was telling Canadians and Albertans that if they just paid more in taxes and punitive regulations, the trade-off would be that we're reducing global emissions and helping the environment. Somehow, we would be better off as a Canadian economy. Instead, this federal platform delivered a stalled economy and increased costs for everyday Canadians. And Canadians have started to ask why. While the entirety of our country contributes just 1.5% of global emissions, and yet it wasn't too long ago when we were paying over 34% of the entire world's carbon taxes because of this approach, the largest share of any country.
Oh, what? So right there, Canada's paying 34% of the entire world's carbon tax, and we only represent 1.5% of total global emissions. Right there is why we need to reverse all of this nonsense.
As Premier has mentioned many times, it has been a litany of anti-development policy that's only made us a less attractive place to invest and sent that capital elsewhere. It's been a long time for Canada to focus on a common sense approach, like we've done through our tier system here in Alberta. Of course, the tariffs imposed by the potential tariffs imposed by the United States are making it even harder for Alberta industries to compete and expand. Costs are rising, materials are harder to get, and more expensive when they arrive. Supply chains, of course, are less predictable, and we are already seeing the impacts. Companies are delaying hiring, pausing investment, or pushing major capital spending into the future. During tough times, competitiveness is the difference maker. Our industries, whether they drill, mine, manufacture, process, or build, are among the best and most productive in the world. So we cannot risk falling behind, and we cannot continue to put jobs and our economy at risk with the uncertainty of U.S. tariffs coupled with ideological policy. Over the past months, we have been engaging with industry on the future of our tier program. We know that regulation is up in 2026, and we wanted to hear how industry felt about what's working well and what presents a challenge. Certainly, concerns were raised about the impacts of a carbon price reaching over $100 per ton. That is why, effective immediately, we're freezing the industrial carbon price.
There you have it, effective immediately. They are pausing any more future increases in the carbon pricing system. They say enough is enough, and this is where things are going to get interesting in Canada. What's Mark Carney going to do next? And we just received a massive announcement from the PM of the UK, Starmer.
So as this white paper sets out, every area of the immigration system, work, family, and study, will be tightened up so we have more control. Skill requirements raised to degree level. English language requirements across all routes, including for dependents. The time it takes to acquire settled status extended from 5 years to 10. And enforcement tougher than ever, because fair rules must be followed. Now, make no mistake, this plan means migration will fall. That's a promise. But I want to be very clear on this. If we do need to take further steps, if we do need to do more to release pressure on housing and our public services, then mark my words, we will. But it's not just about numbers, because the chaos of the previous government also changed the nature of immigration in this country. Fewer people who make a strong economic contribution, more who work in parts of our economy that put downward pressure on wages. So perhaps the biggest shift in this white paper is that we will finally honour what take back control meant and begin to choose who comes here.
Don't you find it very interesting? Because they're having the same problems as we have in Canada. He talked about housing. He talked about wages. And what I find actually very interesting is he makes this announcement after the UK signed a deal with the United States just 24 hours earlier. So what does that really mean? Because what happens if Canada signs one of those deals? Are we going to have the same announcement as Starmer 24 hours later? We shut the door to immigration. And one thing that was very interesting is he's going to make it a requirement that people speak fluent English. Otherwise, it's not going to work. But it's interesting because in the UK, if you ask somebody else if they speak English, you might actually get arrested. Let's take a look.
During some conversations between yourself, apparently you have alleged, we weren't here, so I don't know you've said it, but you've alleged to say, speak English, or words to that effect?
Speak clearly.
Speak clearly.
No,
Okay.
the gentleman's partially deaf.
Yeah, he can speak clearly.
Yeah.
So I couldn't even hear him.
No, and that's fine, and that's why we've just come to speak, because potentially someone could perceive that as a hate crime.
Did we just know this was going to happen?
No, I know.
People, you know, if someone says to me, officer, I believe this, then we need to look at it, because someone's potentially reporting to me.
So that poor elderly man, maybe he did a hate crime because he asked somebody, are you speaking English or do you speak English? Oh man, so that's the thing. And then we get breaking news that China and the United States made a deal to remove the tariffs or reduce it down to prior all this tariffs, 90-day tariff pause. China has a 10% tariff and the US has a 30% tariff, but that's rolled down to way before they even had the tariffs. And what's interesting is Canada has nothing. So China and the UK get massive deals to reduce the tariffs, but in Canada, we're still getting the full-fledged tariffs. And it's official. A group has come out with the referendum question. Here we go.
Proud to announce that we have an official referendum question for the referendum petition campaign that we would like to introduce today. So gentlemen, if you could excuse me for a minute, and I'll try to do this without pulling down the signboard. That is the question that will be on the ballot for the Alberta referendum. It states quite simply, do you agree that the province of Alberta shall become a sovereign country and cease to be a province of Canada, yes or no?
Wow, you can't get any more clear than that. What do you guys think? Is that... What do you think about the referendum question? Should Alberta be its own sovereign country, yes or no? We're going back to Donald Trump. He just accepted a $400 million plane from Qatar.
I think Qatar, who has really, we've helped them a lot over the years in terms of security and safety. I think they, and very, very nicely, and I have a lot of respect for the leadership and for the leader, Qatar. And I think they knew about it because they buy Boeings. They buy a lot of Boeings. And they knew about it, and they said, we would like to do something, and if we can get a 747 as a contribution to our Defense Department to use during a couple of years while they're building the other ones, I think that was a very nice gesture. Now, I could be a stupid person and say, oh, no, we don't want a free plane. We give free things out. We'll take one, too. And it helps us out. Because, again, we're talking about we have 40-year-old aircraft. The money we spend, the maintenance we spend on those planes to keep them tippy-top is astronomical. You wouldn't even believe it. So I think it's a great gesture from Qatar. I appreciate it very much. I would never be one to turn down that kind of an offer. I mean, I could be a stupid person and say, no, we don't want a free, very expensive airplane. But I thought it was a great gesture. And I think it was a gesture because of the fact that we have helped and continue to, we will continue to, all of those countries, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, and others. We keep them safe. If it wasn't for us, they probably wouldn't exist right now. And I think this was just a gesture of good faith. And I don't get it. Someday it'll be like Ronald Reagan. They decommission them. You know, they get to a certain age, they decommission them. It'll go to my library. They're talking about going to my library in years out. But I thought it was a great gesture.
What do you think about this announcement, Canada? Was it a great gesture? I'm indifferent on this whole thing, but I do have pictures of this gorgeous plane, the inside. Here's one of the areas of the plane. There's actually a staircase in this thing. And yeah, a meeting room. Check out the theater room. Jeez. Yeah, this doesn't even look like a plane. It looks like a luxury hotel. Check out that bed. Now we're going to go to CBC. You're not going to believe what they said here.
To go back to his priorities, Vonda did that Friday press conference that Mark Carney gave, and in the first couple of sentences said, to deal with the U.S., to grow the economy, and people also want safer communities, and they want help with the cost of living, right? And housing being a big part of that. That right there tells me what the core priorities of his cabinet would be.
It's a conservative platform.
Well, yes. Well, we'll see.
It's a conservative platform. They stole everything from Pierre Poilievre. Lower housing, all of it has been stolen. It's conservative. All right, I want to show you a clip of Mark Carney, and then I want you to decide, now that we know everything that we know today, this did not age well, in my opinion.
America wants our land, our resources, our water, our country. Never. But these are not idle threats. President Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us. That will never ever happen. But we also must recognize the reality that our world has fundamentally changed.
Yeah, now that we know all that we know, do you believe that Donald Trump wants to come over with tanks and take over Canada? It looks like these two are best friends now. And Mark Carney's going to pick his cabinet ministers today. Can you believe it? It's unreal, because he says he wants to make it fair and have 50% women and 50% men. 50-50. It has nothing to do with qualifications and who's best for the job. It's all about gender fairness and gender parity. Basically, what he wants is a DEI government. That's right. Our country is not serious. And you're not going to believe this. Sources have said, and we're going to find out later today, Stephen Guilbeault might actually get a cabinet position. This guy is an eco-terrorist. He's probably the worst person. Should be in an orange jumpsuit, not a cabinet position. Looks like Chrystia Freeland is going to get a cabinet position. I was hoping that they would give her a position overseas so we'll never have to see her again. But if she gets a cabinet position, she's going to be on press conferences. And how do you think the relationship with Donald Trump's going to go, given that he already says he despises Twitchy? All right, there's going to be some big announcements on cabinet positions today. I look forward to reporting on it later on when I make a video. And I look forward to all these updates. Things are getting absolutely insane around the world, and yeah, here in Canada. I'll see you on the next report.